welcome to Razor's living room. First of all, I want to make a disclaimer. It is illegal to snare animals in most places at most times unless you have some kind of a trapper's license or different stipulations. I don't know what. If you plan on making snares or looking or trapping animals, you might want to check into your local laws on that. But what I found was I'm real cheap. I don't like to pay much for stuff. I saw these at the local hardware store and immediately got the idea of making snares out of them for my survival kits. Believe it or not, this is less than $2. I believe it was about $1.89, and this one here was even less. It was $1.67. So just picture hanger wire. It's got 12 feet of it and some of the little metal things that you hang wire or hang pictures with. But anyway, I got looking at it and I got this idea. I'm sure I'm probably not the only one who's ever thought of it, but I bet that wire would work good for snares. It also comes with some other things, some little eye hooks and that. I'm sure might be some decent uses for those, but for what I'm going to do is just using just the little hangers that come with it and the wire to make some very cheap snares. This wire actually it holds its shape good. You can mold it into different shapes. It's fairly strong. I put a loop on one of my dumbbells over there, a 10-pound dumbbell, and could pick it up no problem. It didn't want to break or anything. So I'm sure it'll work plenty fine for snares. It is a little bit shiny, but I think with a little bit of oxidation, rub some dirt on it, that'll help cut the shine down a bit. It's another thing, if you use a snare in the wild for anything, you want to take some dirt, some leaves, some whatever in the local area and rub all over it, try and mask that scent a little bit. I usually make them about that long. Just a multi-tool or a pair of needle nose pliers, you can cut it off. Mine have seen quite a bit of wear, work and maintenance, so they're not cutting the best. But now that end that I just cut off will be a little bit jagged. If you look at it, you can see which way it's spun. If you take your pliers and don't crimp it, but just lightly touch them with that and spin the wire, it'll tighten it all up there on the end of it. Once that's nice and tight, you don't have to worry about it coming loose again. Do the same thing with the other side. You can do it with your fingers, but the edge can be kind of sharp. There we go. Now, you can, if you want to, you can take this and just go up about 1 inch, fold it over, which makes a loop just like that. Then you can take that loop and hold it, and hold that and spin it, and wrap that wire around itself. You don't have to tie any fancy knots. It won't slip out once you have it all wrapped up fairly well. Once you do that, you can do the same thing we just did with the ends, because that's got a little bit of a pokey thing there on it. Just lightly grip it with the pliers and spin, and that lays that all down. And that leaves you a loop, just like that. And you could take your snare wire and just run it through that loop, tie a loop on this end, same way you did this one, and you could tie some other cordage, rope, paracord, something into that if you need more distance for your snare. And these work fairly well. They don't lock up or anything. An animal has to pretty much be pulling on it constantly to choke itself, which I guess they tend to do. But you can adjust it to the size of the animal and then put a little kink in it, whatever you're going to be catching, and mold it to that shape. Now these slide fairly quick and easy and tighten up very well. And they work fairly well for that. And that's just a simple one. That's about the easiest you can do. I used about maybe 1.5 feet of this. You got 12 feet on there, so you can make probably a good 8 snares or so out of that $1.67. But I'm just going to leave this loop in here. I'm going to show you a way to make it a little bit more of a locking style. These come with that little hanger. What you can do is take your pliers and straighten out that one side like that, and then I like to take and cut that excess off just a little bit outside the hole here. And if you notice, it's got a little bit of an L shape to it. There's a hole here and a hole there. Well, I do the same thing on this side here. Just want to go just a little bit above that hole. Give it a cut. You end up with that little L-shaped bracket like that. Now what you can do is you take your I already put out. I'm going to do this differently. I'm just going to cut this here off because I can't put it together that way. And take one of those sides, it doesn't really matter which side, and put your end in about 1 inch. And just like we did making the loop, you have it like that. Just want to spin it and wrap it around itself. And you can take your pliers and just grip that a little bit, just enough so you can still spin it, and that tightens all that down, gets rid of those sharp pointed things. Now you've got this kind of free floating little thing on the end here, which I'm going to spin it just a little bit more because I don't want it too free floating. Just like that. Now what you're going to do now is take your wire and run it through the L on that, through the other hole. Just like that. Now it doesn't seem like it would do a whole lot, but what it actually will do, it lets it slide freely one direction, but then it tries to open it up against tension, it actually puts a kink in it and locks it in. So if that animal gets in there really tight, starts pulling on it really hard, and tries taking it apart, it's not going to slide out on them. It just has a much better grip. And you can still slide it free. And you can just put a loop in the other end, tie your paracord into it, or a natural cord, or tie it to an anchor, a stake you put in the ground, whatever it is you need to do, tree branch, whatever you've made your snare out of. And it's fairly compact, small, and like I said, cheap. Got 12 feet of it in here. Make about 5 or 6 snares. Wrap them up nice and small, and they'll easily fit in any survival kit. It's just a basic tip for you, just something I saw I thought it'd work pretty well, and I like to do things on the cheap side. So that's Razor's tip for the day. Go out and grab some and practice. Just remember, you cannot snare animals with it. It's still good practice to go out and practice setting them up, figure out where you want to set them. That's actually more important than having a snare, because if you don't know where to set a snare, you'll never catch anything with it. But this will just give you the snares to put in your kit so that you'll have them. Alright, thanks for watching. Keep your eye out for more videos from Razor. Take care.